Hello, and welcome to the third episode of our Behind the Scenes podcast. It has been a while since we last did one of these. I think the last one was, back in late April 26th. And I do apologize for that. We tried to get around to doing a third podcast in May, but then we basically lost that project when we had that mandatory forced video editor update. So we lost all the progress that we had on that podcast when that happened. And, June just wasn't a great month for me, so, we're just now finally getting caught up to everything. But anyway, we are switching things up a bit today, as you might notice. We're going to start out with the playtesting bit of the podcast, and then we'll go into, your submitted questions, and do a bit of a roundup on the Modathon. So we're going to try and do a bit of, all that. We do have, I believe it's about 10 mods that we're playtesting today. I think these are all mods that came out in June. So, mostly we're just going to be looking at content mods that were released in June. There were quite a few of them. I think there were about 80 mods in total released last month. Not a record by any means, but, close enough. We got some quest mods, house mods, a few graphics mods, and a couple gameplay mods that we're going to get to. So, before we get to all that, though, I would like to mention that we are going to be making this podcast public in about 2 weeks. Now, normally in the past, we have not made any of the behind-the-scenes podcasts public, but we're going to do that, for this podcast, just to give people a taste of what exactly it is we do with the, with these podcasts here, with the behind the scenes. Not that it's really it's really not that exciting, It's mostly, again, playtesting, answering questions, covering, what we're doing for video production, and taking a look at what the modding community is doing. That's basically what we do in these podcasts, and not a whole lot else. I should mention that, obviously, this is going to be a bit, more rough around the edges compared to our edited videos. This isn't going to have a huge amount of editing. So, for example, with the audio narration, it's going to be a bit more, rougher, so to speak, than what we normally do. Because we do normally do a lot of editing. But anyway, yeah, so we've got 10 mods I'm playtesting today. You'll find a list of those down in the video description below, with links to them and everything. Again, this is playtesting. We're testing to see how well these mods, are. We're not showcasing them. That means you're going to get a bit more of my actual, thoughts and opinions on these mods compared to what you normally get when we do actual showcases, which are, again, not reviews. So, anyway, let's go ahead and get started here. I'm going to load up a save game and, just go from there. So, before we get started here, I want to go over what we actually do in playtesting. So, what we're doing today is, we're testing these mods to make sure that they actually work and whether or not they should be showcased. This is mostly quality control stuff, making sure the mod works, doesn't break the game, doesn't have any glaring issues, is well put together, and is, of a high enough quality to be worthy of a video showcase. Some of the mods in today's playtesting session very well may not be of a high enough quality to be, showcased properly, so this might be the only time you see them. Or they might be, small mods that we might not be able to showcase, on its, by itself, that we might have to include in something else. So, part of what we're doing is, checking to see what kind of themes we can include these mods in, as well as, their general quality. With that said, though, we've got, 10 mods to do, so let's go ahead and get started. And we're going to start out in Balmora, because we've got two mods in Balmora, I think, that we have the playtest, so let's just go ahead and do that. Alright, so here we are in Balmora, and we've got our first mod that we're going to be, playtesting here. This is a house mod called Balmora Home Riverwatch by, okay, how do you say this? Lotta Santini? Lotta Santini? Okay, you guys know I'm not really great at pronouncing names, so I apologise if I got that completely wrong. But anyway, this isn't a rather popular house mod location. There's like, I don't know, probably at least 100 house mods in this exact same spot, if not more. The Illuminated Order even has not a house mod, but a house in this location, and that's a quest mod. It is, extremely popular location, so, right away, this will conflict with just a lot of things. But, just because it conflicts with a lot of stuff doesn't mean it's bad, so, obviously, it would be pretty easy to make a compatibility patch, so that's not really a big deal. We don't really look for mod conflicts when we're playtesting. That's just, something that we note, so that we can include a disclaimer when we showcase it for people who do have mods already in this spot. But anyway, there's a for sale note here. Property for sale. Interested parties may direct their inquiries of purchase to Nalino Dorvayan of House Lalu. Right. So real quick, let's see if we can get in here. Nope. Okay, so there's a message box, so that's scripted. That means that we will actually have to, buy it. We can't just break in. And real quick, I want to do a flyby. Well, actually, hold on a second. Let's change the weather here. Tired of this thunderstorm. Okay, there we go. So, Control X. That puts us into flyby mode. And that'll allow us to cinematically take a look at this house here. So, it's a 2-story abode. It's got a rather nice looking balcony. Bit of storage alongside, some windows. It looks pretty well done. Fits in with the city. Obviously, you can't tell a whole lot from just the exterior here, but, you get a general gist that the mod author does seem to know at least what they're doing when it comes to putting together a house mod in terms of the exterior. So let's exit out of cinema cam mode and, go check out the actual buying options. Okay, here we are. And Lino Dorvayan, a property for sale. There is indeed a property for sale at the northeast end near the river. Slight typo there of north. That's north. It should be north. If you are interested in purchasing it, it will cost 2,000 gold plus taxes. So all in total 2,280 gold. Do you wish to purchase it? Okay, so that's interesting. Most mods don't really, think about taxes. So I do like that addition there. But first, let's test the dialogue results. So, no, not yet. Very well. Okay, that works fine. We'll buy the deed now. It removes the correct amount of gold. Adds the deed and key. And now the check for dialogue loop, because a lot of modders forget this, right? So a lot of modders forget to, close their dialogue loops. But, okay, so it passes the dialogue loop check. It confirms that we've already bought the house, so we can't buy it again. You would be surprised, actually, how often that happens. It happens a lot. Like, when testing house mods, it happens well, not even just house mods, but a lot of mods. It happens a lot. But anyway, let's go back and check this out. So, let's go and head back now. Okay, time to check to see if the key works. And it does. The key does work, don't get a message box, and we're in the interior. So far so good. So to start out with, it looks like we've got a entry hall with a dining room. Got a bit of storage over there. So far, this looks really well put together. Oh, and there's you know, some shelving units over here. You got the windows, which correspond to the exterior. And going upstairs, got another set of shelving units. The bedroom. Alright, so anyway, looks like we've got some counters here that act as display space. Another thing that a lot of modders will forget to do is they'll forget to grid snap the counters. But these do look to be grid snapped. I don't see any seams. But that is something that you'll see a lot of modders forget about, is grid snapping the counters. But, you know, this all looks fine. And we've got an alchemy lab over here. Well, this is nice. So, these are just, these are regular urns, right? Yeah. Ah, this is new. Magical curiosities. I don't think I've seen that book before. Enchanted Encyclopedia. Alchemical Encyclopedia. This is pretty neat. These are new books added by this mod. So that's a neat addition. And let's see. Nothing in there. And this is a map to the Mud Crab Merchant. You know, I gotta say, I'm really impressed, actually. This is a really nicely detailed and well put together, you know, house. It's not a huge player house mod, but I see no actual issues with it. Everything seems to work. This is an ideal mod for showcasing. You know, probably for Morrowind Modding Manas, or even an episode of Morrowind Modding Showcases. It's really well done, and I really like the design, the lighting. It's atmospheric, it's cozy. You know, it checks off all the right boxes for what we look for when it comes to player house mods. So, you know, this one gets my vote, I think. This one definitely gets my vote. Now, this next mod that we're taking a look at, it's another house mod. And this one is called A Small Home for the Player in Balmora TES3 Morrowind by Neverine48. A bit of a long name, to be sure. And right away, I need to mention that this mod is not clean. It has, I think it's pretty much all the GMSTs you can have for a mod like this. It's what, the 72 evil GMSTs. It does have that. But this is a first-time modder. This is their first mod. So a lot of first-time modders, they don't know about mod cleaning yet, so, you know, that can be forgiven. And it's a really simple thing to clean. Just run it through TS3 command. You know, that solves the problem pretty well. The location of this house is maybe, you know, it's a bit odd exterior-wise. It doesn't really blend in too well, and it doesn't have much detailing. No steps or windows, it's a bit bland. But let's go ahead and go inside. Now, I don't know if you noticed that, but the interior cell here has a bit of a strange thing going on with the name. The characters are all kind of out of whack. My guess is the mod author is using maybe a Russian copy of Morrowind, or possibly a German copy of Morrowind. It's definitely not an English copy of Morrowind, because the characters aren't in English, so that is something, you know, something to be aware of. This is probably, you know, a foreign translation of the copy of Morrowind. Normally, when we're showcasing mods, we do tend to showcase mods for the English version of Morrowind, because that is the dominant version of the game, and most of the modding community makes mods for the English version of Morrowind. You know, a long time ago, there were a lot of different modding communities for Morrowind based around different languages, but, you know, like Polish, you know, there was the Polish modding community, the German modding community, the French modding community, all that. But today, it's mostly just the English and the Russian modding communities that still exist in the Morrowind modding scene. And we tend to focus on mods that will work with the English version of the game, because that is what the majority of the player base is going to be using. So, just right away, that's probably going to be a disqualifier for showcasing. It's just the translation issues. You can see it again here at the desk. But the interior otherwise, it's kind of nice. You got some nice detailing here, with the meal right next to the bed. And there's a study with bookcases. And over here you have an alchemy lab, and this is Secret Masters equipment. Okay, so that's also maybe a potential disqualifier. That's really overpowered equipment. That's like the best alchemy equipment in the game. And this isn't, you can't buy this house like you can with the other one. You just walk right in and it's yours. So, that's a bit of an issue. Got some more translation issues with the names of the containers. And you'll notice there is a bit of style mixing. That's not really a big deal for me, but this is clearly a DP desk, and this is a Com R bookcase. I don't really care about that, but if you were submitting this as a showcase to Project Tamriel or Tamriel Built, they would give you a red card for that. That would be a red card issue. Otherwise, I think this interior needs a bit more furnishings. Could use more tapestries and more rugs. The floor here is pretty barren. Everything looks to be grid snapped together, but it's just not really a whole lot on the floor here. It needs a carpet or something. Maybe one or two rugs would do the trick, right? And maybe just another wall hanging right over here. I mean, overall, this is a pretty good. I mean, I listed off a bunch of things there, but this is a pretty good first mod. To be honest, it's a lot better than my first mod was, back in 2003. But yeah, this probably isn't a mod we'd actually showcase, at least not until, the major issues are fixed with the translation issues, and ideally the GMST GMST cleaning and all that. Because that is a bit of a concern, that can really screw up your game if you don't actually, clean it first. And there is some overpowered loot in here, but that's not really a deal breaker for me when it comes to mod showcasing. I mean, Secret Masters equipment though, that is a bit on another level, but yeah, so this is a mod that we'd have to come back to at some other point after the mod author makes some adjustments, I think. If they do. I mean, it's not really a requirement or anything, it's just we probably... Oh, hey, wait a minute. And that's also floating, this torch. Tiki lamp, that is floating. I don't know if you can tell, but that is definitely floating. Again, that's not a deal breaker. But these are just things, I look for in playtesting sometimes, as, floaters, and, overpowered equipment, just things to note. But yeah, probably not a mod we'd showcase. It's fine for a first mod, but, it could use some quality adjustments. That's all I'm saying. Alright, we've got another 2 mods to playtest here in Seyda Neen. This first one is Seyda Neen Alchemist by Glittergear. Glittergear has made a few mods this year. Cozier Karthwasten Mages Guild, or Fighters Guild, one or the other. And there was another one, Urbanized Firewatch. They've been around for a little while. I know they made a mod in 2019. And let's see, this adds a new bow tier to the shack area, part of Seyda Neen. And this will take us to... over here, just, kind of across the water a bit from Seyda Neen. And, so far, I gotta say, I do kind of like this. The design of the boat and the docks. This actually looks pretty nice so far. I do, at least, from the exterior perspective, I do like this. You got some marshmallow and all that around the entrance. That's pretty neat. But let's go inside. Oh, wow. Now this is a really neat looking interior. I really like this, actually. This is fantastic. You know, in terms of the atmosphere department, this is really neat. Okay, so this is an Alchemist cabin from the looks of it. You got a ton of mushrooms. I love the lighting in here. This is really neat. And going back here, oh yeah, this mod requires OB and terminal data. So you'll notice some OB assets over there with the egg crates and everything. It's not a huge interior, obviously, but it is really neat looking. And let's see, I guess this is the Alchemist. Let's see. She does not have any new dialogue, but she does offer a bunch of potions and ingredients for sale, including a few books, including some recipes. I think the recipes are either from OB data or terminal data. I can't remember, but you know, so far, this is definitely a mod that I would showcase. I would definitely showcase this. Not as a mod of the day video, but this would be great in like a themed episode of Modern Modding Showcases, maybe something for Argonians, or, you know, magic-based theme, or even something, you know, themed around the Bitter Coast, or something like that. Or just Seyda Neen. And I love these little lantern things too. I think those are from OB data. But yeah, this is another mod that I would definitely showcase. I really like this. Now, the second mod that we have to playtest in Seyda Neen is SV, Justice in Seyda Neen by Cyrilvec. And Cyrilvec is a quest modder that's made a couple of quest mods, including one in, I think, 2020, or that might have been 2021, I'm not entirely sure. It was a pretty neat quest mod that involved a series of nightmares that a old Dunmer warrior was having in the Ascadian Isles. I can't quite remember the name of it. We playtested it, and it is scheduled for showcasing at some point. But anyway, this one has come out relatively recently, and it involves Hraskar and Fargoth. And I think it starts out with the ring. Okay, so we don't actually have the ring yet, so we need to go grab the ring. Which we're going to do now. There's the ring. Also, I should note that SV Justice in Seyda Neen adds this barracks to the Census and Excise compound, as well as this gate here that we just used. So, in case you were wondering about that, that is added by this mod. But anyway, let's go back to Fargoth. And yes, I found it. Alright, so let's talk to him again. Since you returned my ring, perhaps you'd be interested in performing another small act of justice. Hraskar Flatfoot isn't the worst thing to happen to Seyda Neen, but he's not far off. Ever since he arrived, some of the guards have been demanding regular protection fees on top of what we pay in tax. I was the only one foolish enough to lodge a complaint with the commander, but without hard evidence there was little he would do, and Hraskar made a point to pay me a generous visit the next day, and let me assure you, he doesn't pay in coin. I'm tired of Hraskar and his thugs, and so is everyone else under his protection in Seyda Neen. He needs to go, the sooner the better, and I have a plan on how to make that happen. There's a woman who the commander is favourable to. She has an antique family locket, very nice, very distinguishable, with lots of fine detailing. If you can get it from her, then we could incriminate Hraskar in a theft that he won't see coming. Talk to her and try to convince her to help us, or at least if she'll let you borrow the locket, which the commander will probably return once found. So, are you in? Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Great, go and see her about her family locket. Her house is right next to Ariel's place. Okay, so got a journal entry for that. Right, so that's right over here. So we'll just go check that out then. Alright, so... family locket. My mother's locket? I keep it locked away for special occasions. Why do you wish to know? Well, would you let me borrow it? I'm afraid not. Okay, and... Alright, so we don't get another option for the family locket. We're going to have to do this the hard way. Play it set sneak 1000. And let's see, that's the chest over there. Let's go ahead and unlock that. Go into sneak mode. And we'll just take the locket, which updates the journal again. Ain't no one said we had to do this the legal way. Family locket. You have the locket? Excellent. Now to incriminate Raskar. Now for the hard part. You need to sneak inside the barracks and plant the locket inside Raskar's chest. You can't just place it on his bed or somewhere too obvious. It has to look like he wants it hidden away. I have no idea how you're going to do this, but here are some lockpicks, some probes, and some of my best wishes. Oh, I think there's also a guard in the barracks too, so you'll have to figure out how to deal with him. If it were me, I would try to bribe him, but there's no telling how that would go. Well, considering my luck, with the guards, it would probably go poorly. You, on the other hand, I have the highest confidence in. Good luck. Well, gee, thanks, Fargoth. Thanks for the vote of confidence and all that. Well, time to go to the barracks, I suppose. Okay, so Raskar's chest is right there. Yeah, right there. And the guard is right there, you know, staring directly at us. So let's just talk to the guard real quick. I'm on duty, so unless you have business here, you should leave. Incriminate Raskar. Trying to bribe an Imperial Guard? You need to spend a few nights in the cells. Did I just go a bit Australian? No, probably just my imagination. Okay, so... yeah, okay, that sent us directly to jail. And the locket was marked as stolen, so we don't have the locket anymore, and I don't know where the evidence chest is, so... I think we're going to have to restart the quest. Yeah, we're going to have to reload a game. Okay, we'll try something else, and, you know, try this again, alright? Alright, time for take 2. Important lesson here, important lesson, children. Disposition is important. It makes everything easier. So let's try disposition. So just bribing her. Would you let me borrow it now? There we go, so we got it legally that time. Disposition is apparently the answer to everything. Now to take the locket to Fargoth. So yes, here's the locket, incriminate Raskar. Yes, yes, incriminate, incriminate, let's go. And now to head back to the barracks. Where this time, we'll try something different. Okay, so this time, we're just going to persuade the guard to a higher disposition and try incriminating Raskar. I have no great favour for Raskar, but he is still one of the Legion, so make this quick, the chest is unlocked. Oh, he unlocked the chest for us, that's nice. Now, where did we... yeah, there's the locket, okay, journal update. Now I just need to go back and see Fargoth. So, let's do that. Hello, Fargoth. Incriminate Raskar. It's done? Really? Wonderful! Just wonderful news! Now we need to take this to Socius Regala, since this is a civil matter and he outranks the commander in this regard. We'll accuse Raskar of extortion and they'll search his effects for any evidence to support our claim. Let's go! Okay, I guess we're just going to go do that then. Okay, so it just teleported us into here. Are you here to pay your back taxes, Fargoth? No, we, that is to say, the people of Seyda have... Yes, I am a busy man. Get on with it. We have been subjected to extortion by Harasker Flatfoot. He's been demanding money and items in return for the protection he and the gods give this town. We have had enough. I see. That is troubling news. I shall have to test the veracity of your claims. But rest assured that you have done the right thing bringing this issue to me. Please wait here while Hraskar's belongings are searched. Well, it appears we found a few unusual items in Hraskar's chest. In particular, a locket that the commander recognized as belonging to someone else. And you may rest assured that the man in question will be punished. We will be planning the details of his reassignment to Solstein shortly. In addition, we will be forgiving all back taxes owed at 200 drakes or less, and instating a short exemption period of 3 months due to this unfortunate incident. For your efforts in bringing my attention to this matter, I will reward you each 150 drakes. I hope this shows the people of Seyda that the Empire does not tolerate or condone the corrupt abuse of power by its officials. At the very least, I do not. Okay, so that's an interesting little scene we just got, and fade to black again. We did it! Hraskar is gone for good! You're my new best friend! But, don't tell Ariel, here, take my half of the reward and this lockpick I keep for special occasions. Whenever you're in Seyda, come see me. I'd be happy to talk to you. Alright, I think that's the entire quest. Incriminating Hraskar, a job well done, small act of justice. Family locket, so no dialogue loops then. That's, you know, that's the quest. It's a pretty nice looking quest, I gotta say. It's got, you know, multiple potential ways of handling things. Like, there was a ton of ways we could have gotten that family locket. There were a couple different ways we could have handled, you know, the god. So, you know, this is just a really nice little quest mod. It's not terribly long, though. So we probably can't showcase it for the mod of the day. It might, you know, it might do maybe as a mod we'd showcase in Morrowind modding showcases or something like that. But I gotta say, you know, I really like this mod. It's pretty well done, and, you know, it is one I would like to showcase at some point in the future. But anyway, we do have a ton of other mods to get to, so let's take a look at our list and go off to the next one. Now, we've got a couple of graphics mods that we were going to playtest, and let's just go ahead and get one of those out of the way. This first one is Chitin Weapons Replacer by Anne Rohal. It replaces the War Axe, club, and dagger and spear. So we need a chitin short sword, club, War Axe. I don't see a dagger. So let's open up the console. Player add item, chitin, dagger, 1. There we go. And you can see one of the things that this replacer does is it does replace the icons. So, you know, these do have new icons, you know, attached to them. But right, let's go ahead and take a look at a few of these. So, got the Chitin War Axe here. That's kind of interesting looking. You know, it's more primitive looking than the vanilla Chitin Axe, and you know, it does. You know, it kind of reminds me of, you know, more of the bug parts that, you know, chitin is made out of a little bit, you know, because that's what chitin is. It's like, it's beetle shells, legs, that kind of thing. So, you know, basically insect material. Let's get out the club, and now that's kind of interesting. Like, take a look at the shape of this. It kind of reminds me of, like, a decapitated scrib. You know, if you'll look at the ridges of the body. And, you know, it's like they've attached a few actual sharp bits to it, like maybe those are legs or something from some other creature. It's a pretty neat replace in terms of that it really, you know, kind of takes the Chitin inspiration to, you know, to sort of its full realization. Here we've got the short sword. It's a lot bigger looking than the vanilla short sword. Yeah, it's kind of thick, right? Definitely thick. Very thick. Let's see, dagger. Yeah, dagger's also pretty thick, gotta say. But, you know, it's nice looking. It's a nice looking replacer. I don't really see any major issues with it. It'll appeal to some people more than it does to others, but I kind of like it. Would I use it as a permanent part of my main game? Well, I don't know. But what I do know is that it's definitely a mod that we should probably showcase at some point. I don't know if it's really big enough for a mod of the day video. If it was, you know, it'd be like a 1-minute video. But, you know, maybe in a future episode of Modern Modding Showcases, or, you know, something of that nature, we can throw it in there. But yeah, I think it looks, you know, decent enough. And, you know, just taking a look at the first person here. Yeah, you know, it just, it's pretty decent looking. Again. So yeah, this is another mod that we'll probably take a look at in more detail and showcase sometime in the future. And the mod author has said that they're going to update it in the future with, you know, the rest of the Chitin weapons, like the Chitin Spear and the Chitin Short Bow, I think it is. So, you know, maybe this is a mod that we'll return to after it's been updated and, you know, covers the entire weapon set. Next, we have just the one mod south of Ebonheart. This is Keelhouse by Joy War. You know, once again, it's a player house mod. And Joy War, that name might be a bit familiar to you. You know, they made Balmora, which we showcased in the mod today. And also they made Balmora Lighthouse. You know, the Balmora Lighthouse mod that we showcased in the top 10 Morrowind mods of 2014. So, you know, they've been around for a while, though they don't really release a lot of mods, to be honest. This is their 4th, maybe 5th mod to be released. This just came out earlier in June. And Keelhouse, like the name suggests, actually adds a house based off of the keel of a ship to the Ascadian Isles, you know, just south of Ebonheart here, with a fantastic view of the mainland. You know, you can see old Ebonheart from here, and, you know, that is a great view. And now this does add quite a bit of exterior detailing, so we're just going to, you know, wander a bit around the exterior before we, you know, actually check out the interior. So let's just go ahead and do that. So, just starting out with the exterior, you can tell it's pretty nicely detailed and cluttered. There's actually quite a bit here. You've got a garden or a farm just up here. You know, with a few plants, a wheat and all that. You've got an outdoor area for chopping wood. And of course there's a set of docks, which again just has a really nice view of old Ebonheart and the town rebuilt mainland. And this Morrowind install hasn't been updated in a while, which you might notice with the, you know, the giant Space Needle and the Doomer Towers over there. You know, this is a pretty out-of-date Morrowind install, but it's the only one I have with Vert's ground cover, and this mod is designed to be used with Vert's ground cover. So, you know, just gotta make do. Anyway, the docks are really nice. They've got a hammock, which is really kind of, you know, cozy and atmospheric. And it's a really nice set of docks. Again, got that amazing view here, you know, at the end of the docks, and it's all just, you know, really nice and well put together. There also seems to be, yeah, a fishing rack with slaughterfish off to the side. You know, that's kind of neat. You can tell that this feels like a house mod that's, you know, lived in. You know, someone made this into a home. It didn't just spontaneously appear. There's signs of someone trying to eke out a living. You know, the slaughterfish, the farm and garden. You know, just the little bits of detailing here and there. It's all really just rather nice. And this is definitely a place I could see, you know, calling home. You know, just based on the exterior here. And there is a bit more to this place, though, so we're going to just meander about a bit and see if we can't find a few of the other, you know, little hidden spots that this mod adds. So this is the other thing. This mod adds a little deck, you know, overlooking that famous lake just south of Ebonheart. This is a really mod-heavy location, you know, tons of mods take advantage of this really scenic location. But this is pretty well done, you know, this deck here. Again, you got some nice bit of atmospheric lighting. This mod also adds in that waterfall over there. And it's just got some amazing views. It will, you know, it will conflict with a lot of mods out there, including Morrowind Rebirth, which, you know, does a lot to the southern part of the Ebonheart Peninsula. But you know, if you don't mind that, especially if you have Vert's ground cover already, this is a pretty fantastic mod to, you know, add in here from the looks of it. But we are playtesting, so, you know, let's go see what this ghost is about. Don't be alarmed, I'm not dangerous. Well, I can be harmful if I want, but since you haven't run away like the others, maybe you can help with my bones. This is kind of embarrassing for me. You see, the evening I passed away, or rather passed out, I fell into the water and drowned, and the fish ate my flesh, and now I'm just lying there, soaking in salt water. Not very dignified for a captain. Can you help me move them to a more respectable place? So, first things first, we're going to try the sorry I'm too busy, see what happens. Can we continue? Yes, we can. So, of course, I would be happy to. Wonderful, they are just under the docks where the hammock is. Please get them and bring them back to me, and watch out for the slaughterfish. They have a nasty bite. So that updated my journal twice. I'm not sure why that first option needed to have a journal entry attached to it. This does have a quest name. I mean, that's a bit of a long name for a quest, but, you know, a lot of modders do forget to actually add in the quest name, so at least there's that. But, yeah, so let's go take a dive underneath the docks and see what we can find. Right, oh, yeah, I can see the corpse here. Okay, so we can just pick it up. We'll pick it up and... right, yeah, I see the slaughterfish now. Right, let's get out of here. You know, before we drown. Alright, I got your bones. Okay, so you want me to follow you. Alright, where are you going? Alright. You know, I gotta say, you're not moving too quickly. Alright, so let's see. Let's see what you're doing. Are we burying you? What are we doing here? There's another ladder over there. So where does that lead? Alright, this is taking a little while. Anytime now. So we're going up here. And what are we doing? Okay, so Okay, facing south, would you? Alright, so they want me to put the corpse down here, facing south. Oh, like that, okay. That's neat. They've disappeared. So I guess that's it. Looking south. Wait a minute. Which direction is south? South is that way, okay. So facing south. I mean, I haven't gotten another journal entry yet. I mean, is it like a particular position, place? No? The quest hasn't finished yet. You know, the quest still shows as active, so that's south. I don't know. We'll have to look at this in the editor maybe, because I'm not really sure there's something else that's supposed to happen. And what is up with this fog? This fog just suddenly appeared. Is that part of the script? Again, we'll have to look at this in the CS, I think. But so far, this is pretty intriguing. This is definitely a mod that we would showcase so far. Though we do still need to check out the interior, so let's do that next. Alright, so here we have the interior. And, it is the inside of a ship, and honestly, it looks pretty cozy. It's got a dining room, a kitchen. You'll notice a couple of floaters here and there with rugs. That is not the fault of this mod. I'm using Resdain Revival, Better Boats and Ships as a part of this mod installation. So there is a bit of a conflict here. The floating rugs, that is a result of that, because that replaces the, shipwreck interiors and everything. So, again, that's not the fault of this mod. That's the fault of a different mod that kind of conflicts a bit. But, anyway. Looks like we've got a bit of a lab and a library here. A lovely little lounge with a couch. Here's the, I guess this is the master bedroom. That has 2 bunk beds. I actually really like the design here so far. It's really quite nice. Got a little display area here. And, look at this. You could, use the steps of the ladder here, maybe, as, extra shelves to put items on. That's pretty creative, and a unique usage of the, the ship interior. Oh, and look at that. Yeah, because the ship is upside down, they're using the these built-in platforms as storage, storage shelves. That's pretty neat. We got a little, I guess it's a sewing room, and oh, there's an alchemy lab. That's pretty neat. I got a bit more storage in the back, and I think that's pretty much it for the interior. I mean, it's a really nice, really nice, creative, and unique looking abode. This is probably, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I'd say this is probably already one of my favourite shipwreck housing mods, just from playtesting it. It's got some nice designs, and, there's not as many great shipwreck housing mods as you might think. I mean, there are definitely a few that are really good, but, this is definitely one of the better ones I've seen. I mean, the rug underneath the fireplace, that does seem a bit strange, but other than a few minor quibbles, this is pretty nice. We could showcase this as part of the mod of the day, or maybe Morrowind modding manas, I don't know, but, it's definitely a mod I do want to showcase at some point. We'll do a quick fly around the exterior, and, then call it a day. Just to make sure we didn't miss anything, let's go into flyby mode. cinematic camera mode, and do a quick looky-loo. Let's see if there's anything else that we might have missed. Yeah, it looks really nice. And let's see. Oh, we did miss something, I think. Okay, so what's this over here? That looks like a campsite with another hammock. And, oh, some atmospheric lighting. It's got, a little setup over here. It's really nice looking, and you've got another great view, looking south towards Old Ebonheart. This is, again, just really nice. Again, a really nice looking mod, one that we're definitely going to be showcasing, though I would like to take a look at the scripts and the behind the scenes stuff a bit. But otherwise, it's just, I really like it. I think this is, going to be a pretty neat mod to showcase. Alright, so next up we're taking a look at another kind of a quest, dungeon, and adventure mod. This is Dog Tavern by Billy Fighter. And, I gotta say, I've been really impressed with the mods that Billy Fighter has been putting out. Like, Mud Crab, Mud Crab Imports, that was a fantastic mod, had a lot of pirate adventures, and it was just a lot of fun to play through. And then there was the other one, Redarin Relics, I think it was, for the mod jam. And that was a really big dungeon mod, actually. Really impressive, for being released, being completely made and released in 48 hours. That was a fantastic mod as well. Dog's Tavern, according to the mod author, is based around the Bethesda game Sea Dogs 2. I vaguely remember it. It was the advertisement slip in the Morrowind jewel case when I got Morrowind back in 2002. There was like an advertisement for Sea Dogs 2 included in that jewel case. So that's a bit of an older game. Probably most of you aren't familiar with it. I mean, I've never actually played it. I just know it from the advertisements back then. But yeah, so this tavern is kind of inspired by that, and I've got really high hopes for this. Actually, Billy Fighter is a fantastic modder as far as I'm concerned so far. Questing, adventure, dungeons. That ticks all my boxes, right? And you can already tell this tavern has a little bit of verticality. Just getting closer to it. It's got this elevated deck in the back. And I think to start out with, we're probably going to do a cinematic flyby. So, yeah, let's just start with that. So let's go ahead and TCL. TM, Control X, and into flyby mode, or cinematic mode, so that we can, get a decent look at, the exterior here. And so we got this elevated deck, sorry. Again, this is the behind the scenes podcast, so, we're not going to redo the narration to fix those silly mistakes that we otherwise would. But anyway, we got some dances up here. And the animation looks a lot better than the traditional animation for Morrowind. Yeah, it's more fluid. It's a bit of a almost traditional barmaid outfit that they're wearing. Alright, that's interesting. Again, some fairly decent animations here for the sitting NPCs. Also, looks like the weather is about to change, so let's, real quick, update our weather conditions. No? Okay, so I thought it was, but maybe I was wrong. Anyway, just, zooming out a bit here. so that we can get a better view of the entire tavern. You can see it all there. And it also includes a new set of docks down here. You know, it is a bit of a, again, a bit of a pirate theme mod. You know, Billy Fighter does seem to like their, you know, pirate-themed mods a little bit. Which is great, you know, Morrowind could always use some more pirate-themed, you know, content. There's also a shack, you know, attached to the property here. We'll take a closer look at that here in a minute. Now, just taking a look at the interior here. It's a little bit dark, but got some nice detailing here. Or were you perhaps looking to help? Aye, we can use some help. Talk to Ironhead on the back deck if you want to know more. Clothing merchants are staying upstairs. Right, this mod, from what I read, adds a bunch of Karana's clothing that you can buy from merchants. Are you going to get me these drinks yet? Guess he's mistaken me for the waiter. So far, detailing's decent. So let's see, what do we have up here? I presume these are the merchants. And they have a variety of pirate-themed clothing. Well, we don't really need to test this. It's Krana's stuff, so we already know it works. Alright, so that's the rent door, and let's see. I guess we need to go out onto the deck then. And let's see. Okay, this is another merchant. She sells drinks, and you. Aye, greetings. I hope you're enjoying your stay. I'm Arnon Melrith. Go grab a drink and join the party. Or perhaps you are looking to help with our problem that we're having. You think you can help, Dark Elf Guy? I won't let just anyone into the cellar, or I could be sending you to your death. How do I know you're capable of handling this situation? I battled pirates on a voyage to Lithuania. I can handle anything. What is going on with my accents? I'm screwing everything up. Okay. I'm the current owner of Mad Max's ship. I've been all over the seas. I live aboard the Anna Sarah. Surely you know of my accomplishments. It's interesting that this, you know, ties into other mods. So, Lithuania, obviously that's Melkor's mod. Mad Max, you know, Mad Max's Galleon. That's a famous, you know, classic mod from way back when. And Anna Sarah, we showcased that before. I'm going to say I live aboard the Anna Sarah. Oh yes, I didn't realise who you were. I think you've got what it takes. We had to invite the Legion here recently because our cellar has been receiving visitors from the dungeons below. Back in the day, a famous captain, Captain Hawk, went down with his crew to plunder the depths of the dungeons. Even I myself had explored, but they never made it out. On top of that, it seems they disturbed something. We keep the cellar locked and guarded by the Legion, whom we need as an escort any time we need to go down there. Oh gosh, what am I doing with my accents? Like, originally it was supposed to be a pirate accent that I was doing here, and then it sort of morphed into Scottish, and now I think I'm going back to Australian. What is... Okay, basically, I can't do character voices, alright? I don't know if I can do character voices. I'm not an actor. I don't know if I can do... I really can't, actually, do character voices. I have no training in this whatsoever. Let's try it again, though. Just to have a little bit of fun. We keep this cellar locked and guarded by the Legion, whom we need as an escort anytime we need to go down there. We're sending any capable adventurers to go down and see if they can't clear it out, and put a stop to the unwanted visitors. If you get this sword, you'll be rewarded, of course. Here, just give this note to the guard in front of the tavern and he'll let you inside. Again, I think I went a little bit Australian there. Gosh. Such a mess. Again, I was supposed to be doing a pirate voice. A pirate voice. And I can do that. Like, what is wrong with me that I can't even do a pirate voice? It's ridiculous. But anyway, we're in the cellar now. Got some really nice lighting in here, I gotta say. And this is the underground cavern, so I guess we need to go in there. Alright, so we've got some basic tunnels in here. Not in love with the detailing. I mean, it's fine, it's fine. It's better than the, you know, the vanilla caverns, but at the same time, the detailing does lack... Ah! Where'd that come from? Does kind of lack, you know, some of the charms of more modern cavern... Oh, what the dickens? Sneaking up right on behind me. Didn't even notice that. Where did that even come from? But anyway, let's see what's down here. Oh, what the? Okay, there's a skeleton in the water. I've got dogs, which don't tip people in the water very well. Okay, there we go. Well, this looks a bit nice. Got some dead crew. And dead end otherwise. Alright, going back this way. Okay, things open up a bit in here. No easy way to get up there. Here we got a bit more detailing. That's good. Quite a few creatures in here though. Or the undead, I should say. But luckily, I've got my cheat character. So, okay, archers. I think I accidentally took out one of the lights. Okay. Oh, right. Is that everything? Well, let's just see what's over here. Not too much. So this is looking a bit better, you know, detailing-wise. Alright, so you got a cavern door over there. But what was, if we go straight, is there anything else in here? No, but there is, apparently, a silver rapier, so that's handy. But let's just do a bit more dungeon delving, and then we'll move on. Okay, so next we have a crypt. Oh right, or a Vlothy tomb. again, a little light on the detailing. Let's go ahead and unlock this door. Well, anyway, I think we're about, ready to call it a day. Well, at least in terms of this mod. Personally, I really like the tavern. The dungeon, it's better than vanilla, for the most part. So, it seems to be a decent size. Got a fair bit of dungeon delving components here. I haven't seen any major issues or anything that would cause us to not showcase this mod, so, this is definitely a mod that we will be showcasing in the future. Though I do think the dungeon could use a bit more interior detailing, but, that's, just a minor quibble. But yeah, so I think this is a mod that we'll probably showcase eventually. Maybe in a mod of the day video. I think this would be, a decent mod to include in something like that. But yeah, I think that's mostly everything. So let's move on to our next mod. We've got a couple of gameplay mods and one graphics mod that we still need to showcase. I mean, not showcase, playtest. Because this isn't a showcase. We are playtesting this. That's what we're doing. A showcase would be a bit more streamlined. Considerably more streamlined. So, we're back in Balmora, and we've got an immersion / gameplay mod that we're playtesting next. This is Boys in the Hood by Von Jangos. And, to be honest, Von Jangos is a pretty trusted mod author. I'm not really concerned that the mod doesn't work. I'm pretty sure it works. I'm pretty sure it won't break people's games, and I'm pretty sure it's clean already. So, mods by trusted mod authors like Von Jangos, Smoko Dog, Lucifer, Danae. We don't really do as much, rigorous testing with those mods because they're pretty much already guaranteed to be of a pretty high quality. It's just making sure that we know what the mod does in-game, making sure that we understand what it does in-game. That's mostly what the playtesting is focused around for these kinds of mods by these kind of trusted mod authors. So in this case, Boys in the Hood is supposed to make it so that NPCs will wear hats and hoods during inclement weather like, rain or thunderstorms or, just things of that nature. So we're just going to go ahead and test that out. We're going to open up the weather control panel, and we're going to change the weather to rain. And right away you can see an NPC wearing a hood. This hood does appear to match their robe. It's the same, color and style, which is, pretty neat. And it looks nice. We've got another hooded NPC right over there. So she's also got her hood up, and again it matches the robe. Now I believe this mod only covers NPCs in vanilla Morrowind, so these animated Morrowind characters, they don't have hoods or hats because they're not covered by this mod. And in general, this mod does not cover NPCs, but added by other mods. So that's just important to note here. Anyway, we're going to take a look at, some of the NPCs on top of the roof of the Council Club. And you can see them here. And we've got kind of an assassin's hood, it looks like. And, oh, hello. Now, look at this fellow. Look at this posh fellow. Look at that. He's got a feathered cap. He's got a feather in his cap to go with his extravagant outfit. that is actually, you know, quite stylish. So stylish, in fact, that I kind of want that hat for myself. It's like a fancy Clovian fur helm. So we're just going to set health to 0 here. Oh, would you look at that? He just spontaneously had a heart attack. So sad. Dibs on the hat. Just going to put that hat on there. Yeah, that's right, it's my hat now. Yeah, my posh hat. My posh hat for my assassin's outfit. I mean, it kind of doesn't make any sense. I mean, you wouldn't wear a feathered cap with an assassin's outfit. Unless you're the poshiest assassin in the world. Haha, that's right. I'm a fancy assassin. The fanciest assassin, you could say. But, anyway, just having some fun with this. We should probably go take a look at a few more NPCs to see some more hats and hoods and things. So let's do that. So we've got a Nordic fur hat, it looks like. Again, seems to kind of match her outfit here, you know. These hats and hoods so far seem to be, you know, pretty closely related to what people are actually wearing. And, you know, that definitely makes sense from, like, an immersion standpoint. But just going on, we've got an orc down here. And he's wearing a rather interesting looking hat. I forget, what are these called? They start with a W, don't they? Or is it an S? Oh, bother. I know I've read an article on these types of hats before, but I can't remember what they're called. Still kind of interesting looking, though. Lastly, I want to take a look at Sargal. And he's wearing another variation on the Clovian fur helm. This one kind of seems like it has a bit of an Amulet of Kings, you know, thing attached to it. It's rather stylish, I like it. But we need to take a look at a few more of these hats and hoods in another town, just to make sure that we understand the kind of variety this mod adds. So let's go down to maybe Halat Ode and, you know, see what the NPCs there are wearing. Okay, here we are in Halat Ode. Let's open up the weather menu and change it to rain. And automatically everyone puts on hats again. This is kind of a weird looking one. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Oh, you got another one of those kind of unique looking hats that the orc was wearing over here. And it also looks like we have another robed NPC with a robe and hood mostly matching. Though, does that seem like it's a slightly different color to you? To the robe? Like that's more of a greenish blue and the robe is more just a blue? Or a grayish blue? Maybe a slight difference there. But here we have a mud crab hat. Really like the design of this one, you know. That makes a lot of sense, actually, that someone living in the Bitter Coast would have a mud crab hat. Yeah, I like that. I like that. It's kind of immersive, actually. And real quick, let's change the weather again. So, let's make it cloudy. And all the NPCs have removed their hats. So, you know, as far as I can tell, this mod works. It does what it says it does. It covers seemingly a lot of the vanilla NPCs. And, you know, this mod will inevitably get showcased at some point. Mods like this tend to do very well in the mod of the month. You know, the mod of the month polls that we do. So, probably, most likely, you'll see this in the mod of the month for June 2021. But even if you don't, you'll probably see it in a showcase eventually. Again, mods like this, they tend to get showcased. But yeah, we've got 2 more mods to do, so I think that's it for this one. Okay, so penultimate mod on our playtesting list today, we've got MaCKom Ash Creatures by Anne Rohal. This is a graphics mod, you know, for the Ash Creatures, kind of in the same vein as Anne Rohal's other mod, MaCKom Corporate Stalkers, which we showcased back in February, I think. So anyway, so this is a graphics replacer for 3 creatures currently: the Ash Ghoul, Ash Slave, and Ash Zombie. So I've already turned off the AI, so we're going to place at PC Ash Ghoul 111. That'll spawn that behind me. There we go. We'll go ahead and do the same with the Ash Slave and the Ash Zombie. So you can take a look at these. Yeah, right. That's pretty nice. You know, graphically, looks pretty good to me. You know, it definitely has that, you know, that ash color scheme to it. Here we have the Ash Slave. You'll notice the 6 house markings on their clothing. And the Ash Ghoul. You know, sort of a Lovecraftian creature almost, from the vanilla game. Seems to be pretty much true to the original design. But, you know, visually a bit improved. I do want to see these guys moving around though, so let's go ahead and set hello 100. Set fight 0. Ditto for you two. And turn AI back on. So now they won't blindly attack me. And we can see them in their animated state. Like a lot of graphics mods like this, we will probably showcase it eventually. You know, I don't see any major issues here for why we wouldn't showcase this. I mean, it looks good to me. Don't know if we do this in a mod of the day video though. Again, this is probably something we might save for like a themed episode of our own modding showcases. I don't know if we ever showcased House Dagoth, so we might need to do a 6 house themed episode at some time, yeah, some point in the future. But yeah, these replacers look good to me, so we'll showcase it eventually. But yeah, I don't think I have any major issues. The mod author did say that they were going to update with more creatures at some point in the future. Same with the Chitin Weapons replacer, so we might want to wait for that. So yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, so the last mod that we're playtesting today is mtrLineage. Yeah, mtrLineage by MTR. And this requires doing a new game because it adds a new part to the character generation process. It allows you to pick a lineage based off of the Murderlord's character backgrounds. You know, I guess framework you could say, which you can see here. So, yeah, here you can see the lineage selection. That allows you to select a lineage based off of Elder Scrolls lore. There are quite a few here. And, yeah, you can see this. It gives you a description of each one, it looks like. Bonus to endurance and penalty to willpower. Clan fear. I wonder how that happens. So you get a lineage of clan fear. Dragon? Now, this looks to be a lot more balanced than MTR's last mod in this exact same vein. You may remember we showcased it, MTR by the Divines. That mod gave you about a list of 70 to 80 deities to worship as part of your character generation process based on Elder Scrolls lore. And a lot of those deities, they only had positive attributes. They didn't have anything negative. But here you can see that there's a bit more of a balance. There's bonuses and also negative, positive and negative traits for each one. And we got a bunch of half races here. Bonus to agility and penalty to personality. So yeah, like Murloord's character backgrounds, adds positive traits and negative traits for your background. This does the same thing, but for your lineage. And, if you combine this with Bar of the Divines, that's, 3 different sets of, traits that you can pick, which is pretty neat, actually. It really allows you to customize your character a lot and opens up a lot of possibilities for role-playing. Like, how exactly did you get... What exactly is your parentage that you have winged Twilight blood? I have no idea. But it's neat that that's an option. We'll just pick a random one here. And I do like how there's, this lore background with each one that you select. That's really neat. So we'll choose this one. And when we open up the, the profile here, or character's inventory, there it is, the lineage. We got the background, the lineage. If we had MTR by the Divines installed, we'd also have a divinity, right below class. And that's just, that's really neat. And of course it does give us a bonus to unarmored plus 10. So unarmored is at 20. Resist poison, 25%. Yeah, there we go. Everything seems to show up, This is an MWC mod, I'm pretty sure it works. I don't think there's any major issues here. But real quick, we'll see if there's a mod config for this. Okay, so it has an option to manually trigger menus. The lineages menu, if you already have started the game and you want to pick a lineage, you can do that. And it allows you to turn the mod on or off. So, basic stuff. So, yeah, again, this is a mod that we'll probably showcase eventually. It's a pretty neat mod. And probably one I would actually use if I was doing a Let's Play. I would probably use this mod to give my character more traits and more of a background and details and things like that. But anyway, that pretty much concludes our playtesting session. So I guess next up we have a couple of questions that were submitted by Patreon backers. And then we'll do a wrap-up for the Modathon, just go over everything that got released. Well, not in detail, obviously. We'll be doing a summary of everything that got released. But anyway, that's it for the playtesting session. So let's get to everything else. So the playtesting went on a bit long, but here we are. We've got 2 backer questions that I'm going to respond to today. And again, if you have any questions that you want answered in the next podcast, we do have a form that you can, submit them to down below. But anyway, so we got 2 questions here. What made you start the channel and mod showcases, and why Morrowind of all games? And which, if any, abandoned for whatever reason, is the one you're personally, again, for whatever reason, saddest about being in such a state? I think that's supposed to be, an abandoned mod. So, thanks for the questions. I'm going to answer that second one first. So, which of any abandoned mod, is the one that you're personally saddest about being in such a state? I could give, you know, a glib answer like, say, Noith Donia, because there hasn't been an update in a while, but that's not really abandoned. But no, you know, in reality, there have been a ton of amazing mods that have gotten abandoned over the years for Morrowind. You know, that's why we have Morrowind's abandoned mod projects, to help bring attention to some of these sometimes forgotten mods. I mean, abandoned mods have been around basically as long as the modding community. Nibdib, for you know, just as an example, Nibdib was a major landmass mod that got abandoned in 2003. So, you know, basically as long as the modding community has been around, there have been really promising and exciting looking, you know, mods that have been abandoned at some point. You know, again, City of Blacklight, or no, Blackhawk. City of Blackhawk is another one. Harshland, Frankenfell. There's a ton. But the one I'm probably saddest about being in such a state would be Wizard's Islands Chapter 2, the second part of the Wizard's Islands trilogy, because that mod was supposed to be a trilogy. That was the original plan. You had Scourge of the Frostbringer, that was chapter 1, then you were supposed to have a second chapter and a third chapter to sort of conclude the story of Wizard's Islands. And we only ever got the first release. And I know that a lot of people, you know, especially people in the modding community today, have a tendency to look down their noses at any older mods, but, you know, Wizard's Islands, Scourge of the Frostbringer, that was a game-changing mod when it came out. Like, there was a ton of hype behind it. It was the first major mod release, or one of the first major mod releases, to actually get released and actually live up to the hype to a degree. I mean, Sea of Destiny beat it out of the gate, right? But Sea of Destiny didn't exactly live up to the hype. It was a lot of copy and paste. You know, quests weren't really well implemented. It was more of an attempt to create something using basically just, you know, existing resources, whereas Wizard's Islands was actually something new. It was a kind of a more fleshed out world, right? You had a lot of quests, story elements, some pretty good, actually, interior design and dungeon design. The first island that you went to, that wasn't really that great. You know, the sort of tutorial island before you actually went to the main content of Wizard's Islands. But yeah, the second chapter in Wizard's Islands never got released due to a computer failure, really. And, you know, that's just been... It's just kind of unfortunate that happened, because it was such a promising mod, and that's probably the one I'm saddest about. Because I have a lot of nostalgia for Wizard's Islands. I remember, you know, excitedly awaiting the release, and then it happened, and then we got to go to the island. And I remember all the excitement and nostalgia about it. I was like 15 when it got released. It's like the first major actual expansion-sized content release for Morrowind. You know, this was before Terry Built released anything. So, you know, it was kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal. But yeah, that's the one I'm saddest about, because Chapter 2, it got scrapped after a hard drive failure, you know, wiped out a ton of their progress on it. And, again, you know, it's a really quality mod. It even had its own soundtrack. You know, when it came out, like, the first release came out in 2000, like, late 2004, that was, you know, just really high quality for a mod at that time. Though if I were to choose a second one that I'm probably saddest about, might be Dragon's Breach. Don't know if anyone remembers that one, but Dragon's Breach was a total conversion mod by Lady Eternity and Proudfoot. It had a lot of interesting ideas. It was a bit more of, you know, a stereotypical fantasy setting, but it had a lot of new stuff in it, and it had the concept of randomized dungeons, you know, What did Daggerfall have randomized dungeons? I think Daggerfall had randomized dungeons, and basically it took randomized dungeons and brought it to Morrowind. So basically every time you entered a dungeon, it would be a different dungeon, right? So you go through the same sewer entrance, but it's a different dungeon. That's basically what Dragon's Breach Alpha had, and it was all new tile sets, really just kind of all new everything, and. There was a fair bit to the Dragon's Breach Alpha, but, yeah, it had a fair bit to it, but it never was actually completed. There were a ton of plans for, again, kind of a more traditional fantasy setting world, but it's still one that I have a lot of nostalgia for. Again, it might just be because it was one of the first mods of its kind to get released for Morrowind, and so I do have maybe some rose-colored glasses for that particular project. I don't know if we've ever actually showcased the Dragon's Breach Total Conversion Alpha. I know we did. I think we showcased the original Dragon's Breach Alpha, and because there were two alphas, the first one was a new landmass south of Morrowind, and the second one was an actual total conversion. But anyway, yeah, so, those two are probably the ones I'm saddest about, and again, it's because I have kind of a lot of nostalgia for those projects. Though, there's a ton of other mods I could have mentioned, like Keening. Keening is another one that had a lot of potential to it. Also had some voice acting, if I recall correctly. Oh gosh, what else is there? Well, it's kind of slipping my mind at the moment, but, suffice to say, there's a ton of abandoned mods for Morrowind, right? And we'll get to more of them in Morrowind's abandoned mod projects at some point. But anyway, we need to get to the next question, and the answer to this is going to be kind of long. Hopefully not too long, but it is going to be a bit long, so... Right, okay, where to start with this? Okay, so just as a reminder, the question was, what made you start the channel and mod showcases, and why Morrowind of all games? Okay, so again, this is going to be a long one. So to answer the first, the second bit actually first, why Morrowind? Morrowind is my all-time favorite game. I've been playing it since 2002, and I've been a member of the modding community since 2003. There was a brief period of time where I took a bit of a hiatus in 2006 to 2007 when I went to go mod Oblivion. Like, a lot of Morrowind modders did that, right? So, when Oblivion got released, we all went out and modded Oblivion, and, a fair number of us, not all of us, but a fair number of us did end up coming back to Morrowind. In my case, it was because I never got that attached to the tile sets, and... you couldn't really... It was difficult to write stories in Oblivion's CS. Quest mods had to be voice acted, and all that, and... To be honest, I liked the dungeons in Morrowind better than Oblivion. Now, just to clarify this for a bit, I'm not one of those Morrowind elitists that believe everything about Morrowind is better than all the other games. I believe Skyrim has the best dungeon designs out of any of the Elder Scrolls games. But that said, Morrowind still has better dungeons than Oblivion. Oblivion's dungeons were trash, okay? They were just trash. They were bad. Really, really bad. And I think that's what, ended up getting me back into Morrowind specifically, and because, I liked building towns, I liked building dungeons, and that was just a lot easier to do with Morrowind's CS and tile sets than it was with Oblivion. And basically, I never looked back. When Skyrim came out, I didn't even, for like 5 minutes I thought about modding it, and then it was like, I've got all these Morrowind modding projects. Go on the stick of Morrowind, I think. As for what made me start the channel and mod showcases, this is a particularly long answer. So, we need to go into a bit of background here, right? So, back in 2012, I started a new quest mod called Tales of the well, Tales of the Ascadian Isles. Basically, it was, based around the Tales series, which were quest mods by multiple authors that added, more random quests for you to do in Balmora, Seyda, Neen, and the Bitter Coast. And I liked the idea, the concept of those series of mods, but I wanted to do it so that those mods added I wanted to do, a mod in that vein that added new dungeons and, other, new encounters, because a lot of the quests in those older Tales mods were dependent on vanilla locations, and I like adding new content, like all new content. So that was the idea with the Tales of the Ascadian Isles. I came up with a planning document. There was going to be 30 new quests spread out, across the Ascadian Isles. So many per town and settlement, and a few out in the wilderness. Some of them would take you to new dungeons. Some of them would be, other types of encounters like escort missions, or there was one where you had to help a NPC who had basically a wizard had cursed him with permanent detect life vision that never wore away, so he couldn't sleep or be around people at all because of the detect life function, which I sort of assumed would be like bright lights in your eyes or something. But yeah, so that was in 2012. I started work on that quest mod, and it got up to a beta release stage in 2014. And that's when I really started doing research on mod conflicts. Now, for those of you who know me, I'm a bit obsessed about mod compatibility when it comes to releasing my own mods. I try to make my mods as compatible with as many other mods as I can. Like, at the time, Redania Village was compatible with Out Redania Extended, which was the only other mod in that location. Of course, today, it conflicts with, like, a ton of other mods, but at the time of its release, it was compatible with the only other mod that was there. Now, let's see, where was I? Okay, right, so, mod conflicts. So, 2014, I get started on researching, what potential mod conflicts I need to look out for in the Ascadian Isles. And unfortunately, MGUM hadn't been updated at that point since 2008. MGUM was a grid-based conflict detector. It was basically an Excel sheet, but it was designed in a grid-like fashion, so you could look up what mods affected each grid cell in the entire game. It was really handy. That was by Roget. Roget was the one that was, updating that up until 2008. Of course, by 2014, there had been a ton of mods that had been released since 2008, so it was very much out of date. So I decided to, do the easy thing and create my own mod conflict database, and basically the idea was to go through each mod category on the Nexus and on Morrowind modding history, and download every mod, see what cells it edited, and then create a new mod conflict database online instead of in an Excel sheet. Using SQL, or MySQL. But one of the things I noticed when going through the Nexus was that a lot of mods weren't getting much attention. Like, these were arguably really pretty high-quality mods. A lot of them were by new mod authors, but they did not get much in the way of feedback or endorsements or anything. And I was starting to notice a trend, because when I looked at the user profiles, I'd see that they released mods for Morrowind first, didn't get much of a response in terms of feedback, and then moved on to Skyrim, where they were getting much more feedback and responses to their works. And so that seriously made me concerned that we might be, losing talent to the Skyrim modding community. And also I noticed that there weren't a huge number of mod releases in 2014. Like, 2014 is the worst year on record that we have for the entire modding community. There were about 350 new mods released in all of 2014. I mean, compare that to last year in 2020 when we had over 1,300 new mods get released. It's a bit of a massive difference in scale. So, I decided that, this was probably a bit of an issue, and that the community should do something, at the very least, to, give new modders more feedback, and encourage them to keep making mods for Morrowind. So I talked to Melkor. We had a bit of a pen pal relationship at that point on the Bethesda forums, and he was, better known in the community. So I asked him to make a thread on the future of Morrowind to try and generate some discussion about what we can do to future-proof Morrowind and the Morrowind modding community. And so that basically led to a whole thing. We had a ton of responses, but one of the general consensus, the consensus, I should say, of that topic was that the community needed a mod showcasing channel of some kind. Skyrim had all those, I don't even know their names. I'm sorry, I don't pay much attention to the Skyrim modding scene, so I don't even know the names of the mod showcasing channels. MXR, is that one of them? But yeah, at the time, Skyrim had a ton of mod showcasing channels, so there was all this publicity on YouTube for Skyrim mods, but Morrowind had basically nothing. We had 2 people try to make Morrowind mod showcasing channels back in 2012, but they hadn't actually. There were like 3 videos on each of those channels, and that was it. So, coincidentally, I happen to have a license for a video editor, because I had been making videos for my Minecraft server just earlier that year, 2014. So I thought, hey, how difficult could this be, making mod showcases? That sounds easy. I'll be able to do that. Yeah, famous last words, right? So, I decided I'm going to do mod showcases for Morrowind, and I came up with a layout. I think the original format was 11 mods per video. That would air every Saturday. Of course, that eventually became 13 mods every video, but that wasn't until later. The original format was 11 mods in 11 categories that we would showcase every Saturday. The goal was to showcase a variety of mods, and also focus on newer mods so that people would check those mods out, give them feedback, bring more publicity and attention to the community. So, that was the basic reason for why I started the channel. It wasn't supposed to be a long-term thing originally, it was supposed to be a short-term thing. Maybe a year or 2 at most. Here we are, 7 years later, still going. So yeah, that's, I guess that mostly answers the question, of why I started the channel. It was because the community at the time needed something to, something extra to keep it going, and bring more attention to the mods that were getting released. And I think it's been a success, mod releases are up by a lot, though most of that isn't due to me particularly, There's been a lot of things that have happened in the community in the past 7 years. Major releases from the Province mods, Terry Build, Skyrim of the Nords, Province Cyrodiil, Morrowind multiplayer, OpenMW, MWSC has gotten a lot of major updates, MGXA. There's a lot of things that have contributed to the revitalization of the community and the current golden age. But I do like to think that the channel, at the very least, helped play a part in all that. But anyway, that's my very long answer to that question. Yeah, again, if you have any other questions you'd like to ask me, that we can maybe cover in the next episode, or well, one of the next podcast episodes, you'll find a form down below. So, feel free to fill that out, and we'll get to it eventually. But next, I suppose we need to go over the results of the 2021 Modathon. This was the 7th Modathon that we have hosted, and it is the second best one in terms of new mod releases. We had 236 new mods get released for the 2021 Modathon. which is just short of the record of 241 mods in 2019. And I'm also pleased to report that there were less spam mods in this modathon, because I think there's about 3 or 4 mods that I would consider to be legitimately, spam release mods. But compare that to 2020, where we had a ton, so much so that we had to basically just not count most of them. We counted a few, because there's always a few in every modathon that are kind of spammy a bit, but it was just crazy in 2020. But 2021, really actually wasn't that many mods of that kind that got released at all, I mean, we had 2 copy and paste dungeon mods and 1 very minor item tweak mod that were kind of spammy, and then arguably a compilation mod that was maybe not anything new, I guess would be the term I would use. But otherwise, again, it was mostly new mods, like actual new mods with new content. I'm pretty happy of how this modathon turned out. And of course, we have a list of the winners. We had the way we were doing it this year is that we decided to go with the most endorsed mod per category. So we have 11 different grand prize winners for the 2021 modathon. There was a fair bit of variety, though I'll note Melkor did take away the lion's share with 3 category wins, which seems a bit much, but there were just a ton of great mods. Library of Vivec Overhaul, you've heard me gush about that mod probably already. That mod was fantastic, absolutely loved it. But I also liked, a lot of the other mods in the dungeon mod category. Justice for Cartag, of course, has a lot of verticality. Better Dunmer Strongholds, better Imperial Forts, Delaera Balmora. All of Delaera's mods are pretty, amazing from a visual perspective. We had some really nice graphic mods. Peterbit released another mod. Just a ton of stuff, really. And I'm still in the process of giving away prizes. I think we have 10, 12 prizes to give away still. It takes me a while to get to everyone, because we still have to, fill out the achievements as well. And we've mostly gotten the achievements done as well. I think we're at least halfway through with sending out achievements. Going to try and get that done in the next few days, or the next week. It's just, that takes a lot of time. And it also takes a lot of time to do these videos, especially this behind-the-scenes podcast. This thing is nearly 2 hours long, and it has taken... Even though we haven't really done a whole lot of editing for it, it's probably still taken like 20 hours to produce. There's just a lot that needs to go into these things. Like, we have to process the video clips after we record them, and then edit them together. It takes time. And we have to process the clips, now, where we didn't before, because the video editor update, that video editor update basically made it impossible to use raw video clips in our videos, because that causes some crazy, lag issues. Basically, it causes a bunch of jumping around in the actual footage. So we have to process each clip individually before we can actually use it in a video. So we have to edit together the footage as well as process each clip. So that just takes a ton of time. But yeah, basically I'm really satisfied with how this modathon turned out, and you'll find links to both the, the full list of mods that got released down below, as well as, a list of the mods that won the modathon, and the runner-ups down below as well. We'll be covering the winners of the 2021 modathon and the runner-ups in probably in a video next week. It's 22 mods though, 22 mods in a single video. That's going to be a bit difficult to do. We're probably going to have to really limit how much time we spend showcasing each mod, but we're going to try and get them all into the same video and, provide a lot of coverage that way. So yeah, you should be looking forward to that next week. We've got a ton of other videos that we're currently working on. We're going to try and get out the top 10 Morrowind mods of 2020 this month as well. There's a ton of mods that are on that we need to get to. In addition, we do have a video commission for the top 10 landmass mods for Morrowind, non-province mods, that we're also going to try and get to this month as well. This has been commissioned, so we'll try and basically come up with a top 10 list of the best landmass mods that aren't province mods. And we'll try and get that released this month as well at some point. Probably later in the month. That's probably going to be in late July. And, July is our 7-year anniversary, so we might try and do something special for that. I was going to try and do a new trailer or something like that, showcasing what Morrowind looks like in 2021, but, we'll have to wait and see if we actually have time to do all that. And I should really probably talk to Atrionis about a 20-year anniversary trailer for Tamriel Built, because, this summer is, I think, the 20-year anniversary for Tamriel Built, so we should do something for that. But anyway, I think that's everything we have to cover today. Again, this video went on a bit long. Hopefully the next podcast won't be this long, because, it takes a lot of time to edit and do. Even though we don't actually do that much editing, it still takes a really long time, and it kind of causes video delays, when we do this. But yeah, we'll hopefully get out a new podcast next Saturday or next Sunday. Might even have a little podcast in between. I was going to do a podcast showcasing or demonstrating how we playtest older mods, like, mods from back in the early to mid-2000s. Because we have a different playtesting process for older mods, so we might try and do a mini podcast like that sometime in the middle of the week. But yeah, excuse me. I think that's just about everything. We've been recording for a while, so my voice is already getting a bit tired. As always, just, thanks for watching, stay safe, stay healthy, happy modding, and I'll see you all next time.